It is a new age here on a Sunday night edition of Rookies Roundup. It is our 10th episode, which means we just hit the Antonio Cromartie milestone. Double digits, only instead of baby mamas, it's episodes. I'm your host, Jake Liker, aka Rookie, and it is currently 9:34 p.m. here in LA. Late start, but late finish again, and no matter how late it is, we are always going to find a way to get those rapid reactions in for you. We are doing an all NFL special here tonight, and back to help me, I'll bring him in about like 2 minutes, is Carl Mogline. He's a frequent guest on this show. He is, he's great. We disagree a lot, which is always fun for you guys. Last night I mentioned how on our 9th episode that our ratings were falling, and I urged you guys to listen. Well, in the past 24 hours alone, we have had more viewers than in the past week for episode 8. So, that's great. Glad you guys are listening. Keep listening, though. Don't stop there. Of course, we're part of the national sports community. You should always check us out. We've always got great stuff going on. Kind of just hurrying through this, kumbaya, we're a big family. Great guys, great shows, listen to it. And I'm going to give you the social media, and then we can start. Like us on our Facebook page, National Sports. Oh, which reminds me, I did say that we were going to create a Facebook page yesterday. I did not come through, much like the Green Bay Packers and half of the other teams in the NFL. So it will happen sometime this week, though, I can promise you that. Follow us on Twitter at allcapsnationalsports1. And the hipster listeners should check out our Instagram page at national_sports. And now, it is my great, great pleasure to welcome in the man from Morgan, the Big O. I don't know. Carl, I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better introduction. It's late. You're going to have to forgive me. But welcome to the show. Frequent guest of ours, Carl Mogline. How you doing, Carl?
I'm good, but you really have to work on your intros. Mine on
Hey.
college football, my intros are so much better.
No, they're horrible. I mean, you call me the man, the legend. I mean, you're guaranteeing that I'm going to disappoint.
It's true.
But
I promise you I'll be better than his intro, so everybody's good.
alright, well, you know what? I'm going to recover from the bad intro with a great segue. You know who else disappointed today? The St. Louis Rams. And with that, we are back on track at Rookies Roundup in our 10th episode, and we get to finally start talking about football. What was your takeaway today from the Rams-Cowboys game?
I'm just gonna go with Cowboys impressed me. They're probably not even gonna be great this year, but personally, I didn't expect much of them this year. So far, the Cowboys impressed me. They had a close one with the Chiefs, a team I know Jake Liker loves so very, very much. A Chiefs supporter there, so they had a close game there. They're now 2-1. They will win over the Rams. Now, another team that's kind of disappointed. So, overall, Cowboys takeaway, they were pretty good.
I was so disappointed with the Rams, It was games like these that really cost me today. Last week, I was able to brag about how I went 13 and 13. I went 13-3. Yeah. Thank you for the claps, Carl. 13-3 last week, and it wasn't as good this week. Not at all. The average on ESPN.com was 7, and I did get 8, but still 8 and 7 was certainly not what I want to go through here. And it was because games like this, the St. Louis Rams did not come through at all today. Final score: Cowboys 31, Rams 7. DeMarco Murray. I should have known. I didn't do enough research on him. Whenever he plays against the Rams, in his past 2 games now against the Rams, he's combined for over 400 yards on the ground. Today, he just crushed on the ground. 26 carries, 175 yards, including a long of 41, and a touchdown. 31-7. Cowboys impressive. Rams still looking bleak. So, let us move on to the Packers and the Bengals. This was a tough one to swallow for me, I'm not going to lie, as a Cheesehead supporter. We were down 14-0 after the first quarter. We scored 30 unanswered to go up 30-14. and then we completely choked and gave away 20 points, and I have not seen Aaron Rodgers perform that poorly in a long time. Carl, as a Vikings fan, you would be laughing if you weren't too busy crying about what happened with Cleveland, but at least this is some sort of, consolation for you. Well, what'd you take away from this one?
A couple things. One, it's really fun to watch Aaron Rodgers throw interceptions. It really actually warms my heart watching it. Two, Jonathan Franklin, he did have a key fumble that may have lost him the game, but other than that, he had a really solid debut, 13 carries, 103 yards, and a touchdown. Second game in a row, Packers have a 100-yard rusher after, 44 games without one?
43.
43, I'm sorry. I'm just saying, 2 games straight, and they were both the backs that didn't start. New plan, never start the same running back you're going to end up playing. I think it's going to help them.
Yeah, because we can always count on injuries. And I think that's actually what ultimately hurt the Packers today. Starks went down today. We are already coming into the season without somebody who I'm a big fan of, DeJuan Harris. We lost Eddie Lacy for this week again with a concussion. Jonathan Franklin even left the game for a little bit with a bad ankle. At one point, we had our 6th-string wide receiver, Terrence Ross, play in the backfield. We got that desperate. We were without Casey Hayward again, Morgan Burnett again, Clay Matthews left. When you become that decimated, it's tough to perform. And still, I said yesterday, if they can get pressure on Rodgers, this is going to be a whole different story. And that's exactly what this defensive line did. Aaron Rodgers looked rattled. He was not communicating well with his receivers. He even got into a bit of a debate with Mike McCarthy on the sideline. It looked pretty dysfunctional. I was not happy, but this bye week could not come at a better time for the Packers because they've become crippled and they really need to get healthy. And on the Bengals side of things, I'm impressed. They came through when they needed to come through. It's not easy to start the season 1-2, especially in Cincinnati's position. I was impressed. I was impressed with Bernard. Dalton was good, but that defense really came through. And Jonathan Franklin, as a Bruin fan, I was shocked to see how well he played. I thought he was really struggling in the preseason. A very pleasant surprise for me. Any other thoughts, or do you want to move on to the Titans-Chargers?
I think we should move on to the Titans-Chargers. That was a good game.
Yeah, it was a good game. I picked the Titans in this one, so I was a little happier with the outcome. Never trust San Diego if it's going to be a close game unless they're playing the Eagles' defense. In the Titans and the Chargers matchup, the final score 20-17 in favor of Tennessee. Another late victory. The Titans outscored the Chargers 10-0 in the fourth quarter, including a touchdown pass to Justin Hunter. Some said that he may have pushed off. It happened with 15 seconds left to take the lead, and they would hold on to it despite a crazy end play that involved Phillip Rivers literally kicking the ball across the field. So San Diego tried to play football, but toward the end it looked more like they were playing a sport like kickball. What do you think, Carl?
Again, San Diego's same old San Diego cannot finish games. What we saw last week against the Eagles is not a true state of theirs, and we now know never to trust the Chargers. Once again, this was just kind of a sad thing. One issue I had with Tennessee, though, they did give up 4 first downs from penalties. That kind of hurt. Jake Locker was very impressive, though, with almost 300 yards passing, a touchdown, and my favorite part, no interceptions.
This Titans skid against the Chargers spanned not just 2 decades, but also 2 different locations. They were even on a losing streak to them when they were at the Houston Oilers, but they finally were able to snap that today, and that became partly because they didn't turn the ball over a single time, and partly because their defense held the Chargers to just 277 total yards, 175 through the air, 102 on the ground. Very impressive defensive showing from the Titans. They look like a serious contender to me. Nate Washington, 8 receptions, 131 yards. Kendall Wright, 6 receptions, 71. Delaney Walker, 5 receptions for 49. Impressive. Very impressive. And Jake Locker came through again, 23-37, 299 yards, and a touchdown. Tennessee, they could be a dark horse. Maybe even playoffs. It's a little early, but you never know. Speaking of never knowing, nobody could have known what would have gone down today in Minneapolis. The Browns shocked everybody, including Carl, who whimpers just at the thought of it. Carl, your Vikings went down to the Cleveland Browns. What happened?
I blame this all on Antoine Winfield. That's the truth. No, I'm just kidding. It is a good question. No, my issue is we probably wouldn't have lost this game if the Browns didn't complete a fake field goal for a touchdown with their, I don't even know what's happening now when they've got their third-string quarterback in. They just traded away their star player. They still rushed for 103 yards of the team. And just really, you let in Brian Hoyer come in and throw for 321 yards and 3 touchdowns. He threw 3 picks and we still couldn't win. You pick off the ball 3 times and you still can't win. Are you kidding me?
Did you know that Brian Hoyer is the 18th quarterback to start for the Browns since the 1999 season?
Did you know that since Brett Favre has started, there have only been 3 quarterbacks start for the Packers? That's the lowest in the league. Bears are highest with, I believe, 26.
Really? The Bears?
Yeah. Since Brett Favre's first start, the Bears have had 26. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It's funny. Yeah.
Why does? I would think that Rex Grossman doesn't even really count as a quarterback. I kid Rex Grossman. I kid the Bears Nation. I have to because they are 3-0. But we're talking about the Vikings and the Browns. Jordan Cameron is the guy that is crushing your fantasy team every week. 3 touchdowns today for him, and Gordon came through as well. I was flabbergasted. That's
you and your vernacular.
Me and my vernacular. My wide range of vocabulary. My vocabulary's range is wider than the pass coverage for the Vikings, let me tell you that. Josh Gordon, 10 receptions, 146 yards, a touchdown. Jordan Cameron, the tight end, 6 receptions, 66 yards, 3 touchdowns. Devon Bass, 7 receptions, 67 yards. Everybody came through today on the receiving end of things for Cleveland, and everybody pitched in on the ground game. Aubrey, Ogbanaya, Gordon, Rainey, McKahee, and no, Brian Hoyer did not. He carried the ball for 0 yards. This team has really become reliant on Adrian Peterson. When he does not rush for over 100 yards, it appears that it's going to be a problem for sure. This was very disappointing from the Vikings, to say the least. Very disheartening, especially in a game that had 7 turnovers, sloppy game. To give up over 400 yards to the Cleveland Browns is disgraceful. And you should be whimpering as a Vikings fan.
Well, I am. There's just a couple things that just bother me here. One of them, they had a time where they had the ball and they got it on on the 20, and they got 4 plays, 1 yard field goal. That's off an interception. They would get these interceptions and then only get a field goal out of it. They would have an intercepted pass in Cleveland territory, throw them back. It just the opportunities that were wasted in this game, the field goals that were kicked that should never have been kicked. It's just really, really sad. We had drives and all this stuff, and we only lost by 4. That's just the difference of us throwing 1 more touchdown. But my biggest issue is that the second week in a row, in the last minute, that the Vikings secondary has given up a touchdown to lose the game. I can't take this anymore. This is just disgraceful to have this happen twice in 2 weeks in games we probably should have won. We probably should have beat the Bears. If you watch that game, if you look at who was the better team in that game, it was the Vikings. Who was the better team, Vikings, Browns? Other than the Vikings secondary, it was the Vikings. The Vikings, they need some help in their secondary. They're going to need either to sign a big free agent this year, but I think the biggest thing is their strong safety. They have Minstrel Raymond starting, I believe, right now, or Jamarcus Sanford. I was not watching the whole game, but we need a really strong safety. We have Harrison Smith as a free safety. He's strong enough. Xavier Rhodes, Chris Cook, they're fine corners. It's our issue is our strong safety, which is just a position you need to be a good secondary.
You know, if the top 5 rushing leaders today in fantasy, Christian Ponder and Adrian Peterson were both among the top 5. Christian Ponder had more fantasy points on the ground alone than Adrian Peterson. He actually rushed for 2 touchdowns.
But Ponder was very impressive.
Ponder threw an interception, lost a fumble, but also he took a 6th sack on the final play of the game. If you're going to let your quarterback get sacked 6 times, again, you know, the pattern this week seemed to be if you can't take care of the quarterback, you're going to lose no matter who you're playing or no matter who your quarterback is, and that was the case here. Disappointing loss for the Vikings, and, you know, it's like every 80s movie when it comes to the Browns. It's just so crazy, it just might work. But the craziness is alive and well in Tampa Bay, and it does not look like it's working. Where the Patriots down to the Bucks, I feel really stupid for calling Tampa in this one. It was not close.
You should feel stupid for calling this one. Because since when do we bet against Tom Brady against lesser opponents?
I don't know. Hey, did you see the way they played against the Jets? Did you see the way they played against the Bills?
Yes.
Did you see the way they played against the
Jets?
Remember early last season they played against the Cardinals and they lost? Remember when they played against the Bills in Buffalo and they lost? So, early in the season I've seen this team struggle before. I expected that to happen. That was not the case. Tampa Bay, very disappointing. 23-3 was the final score. Freeman at 19 of 41. That's really terrible. Martin, 20 carries, 88 yards, did not find his way into the end zone once. Brady had 25 for 36, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. What's your takeaway from this one?
My takeaway is it proves that all is right in the football world. The Buccaneers still lose to the Patriots. The Patriots don't lose to the Buccaneers. It just kind of proved there's some order and that Tom Brady doesn't let close games happen every week.
You know, I took away from this one that the hype is real about young phenom Kenbrell Tompkins. Got 2 touchdown passes today. Aaron Dobson's doing well. He had 7 receptions. Granted, this was against Tampa Bay, but still, I was very impressed by the depth of this receiving corps. Even when they were hobbled, they were able to show up to play. And their defense, the defense that was always the number one concern for this team, has really turned things around. They've given up a total of 34 points in their first 3 games. For all you mathematicians out there, that's a little over 11 points per game. I was thoroughly impressed by the receiving corps, and even more so by the defense, even though part of that may have been Vincent Jackson and Mike Williams both leaving the game early. But, to be honest, you can't leave a game if you've never showed up. But you know who showed up today? Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints playing host to the Arizona Cardinals. No one expected this one to be close, and indeed, it was not. The one thing that we did see coming today, 31-7, Saints beat the Cardinals. Drew Brees again throws for over 300 yards, 29 of 46, 342 yards, 3 TDs. What'd you think?
Well, let's just say, just like it's called the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, this was a smooth ride for the Saints. They had 27 first downs this game, 423 yards. Just a really, really impressive game. Jimmy Graham had 134 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. It's just ridiculous. Drew Brees is just so good. It's getting ridiculous. Drew Brees is just able to rip up any secondary with really little effort. Carson Palmer threw for almost only 50%. He had a QBR of 12.3 today. That was Carson Palmer. 2 picks, 187 yards. and 18 for 35 today. Carson Palmer truly showed his true colors to us. Even though I like Carson Palmer, I really wish he was good, but he was just not good at all today.
I'm going to disagree here. I think it wasn't Carson Palmer showing his true colors. It was Carson Palmer's offensive line showing its true colors. We saw 4 sacks today, 2 of those coming from a rookie. You know how we saw Jordan Cameron perform for the Browns at tight end? Well, switch those 2 and you'll still get results. Saints defensive end Cameron Jordan had not 1 but 2 sacks of Carson Palmer today. We saw that Jimmy Graham at tight end of the Saints can still perform. He caught 2 touchdown passes. No surprises here. New Orleans, I'm telling you, they're a group to watch because they can play defense too. After allowing over 7,000 yards in a single season last year, they've only given up 4 touchdowns in their first 3 games. Watch out for the Saints. Because when they're motivated, the last time they were 3-0, they won a Super Bowl. Just say. So,
just a weird thing when you have to say, watch out for the Saints. When was the last time we had to say that? Oh, yeah, when they were really bad for a very long period of time.
You know, the weirdest part is saying, watch out for the Saints' defense, especially without Will Smith. I mean, what is this?
Yep, you know, you're used to saying it, watch out for Drew Brees, but, you know, when you have to say the Saints have a good defense, it's just an odd moment in every football fan's life.
Just really would be something to see New Orleans come back like this again. But, you know, when the odds are stacked against the Saints, that's when they do the best, it seems. The odds were certainly stacked against the Redskins today with the hobbled Robert Griffin III under center. And the odds were not in their favor as the Ndamukong Suh-led Lions won all Hunger Games on the Redskins. What do you think of this one?
Well, I thought that you just had a wonderful segue there. Come on, Washington. I liked you to win the East. I really did. I picked you over Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly's not doing good either. What is this East doing to me? Right now, Tony Romo looks... The Cowboys are leading the East. What is happening to the world? This just... I'm flabbergasted. I really am. I am absolutely flabbergasted, but also very happy I picked up Joyke Bell for my fantasy team. Because even though he only had 63 yards and a touchdown, he still performed well. I still love Joyke Bell. I really do.
You know, it was only when Reggie Bush is injured, but it's also because of his receiving 4 receptions, 69 yards. But continue.
That always does help. Once again, Joyke Bell, wonderful, wonderful stuff. Robert Griffin III, better game than he's had before, but he still had a pick. But he had 326 yards, 32 for 50. They're giving him a few more passing attempts. Alfred Morris kicked it up a little bit today, getting 73 yards and a touchdown on the ground. I look for Alfred Morris as the season goes on to be a little bit stronger. He's been less than I like. But I think this game was probably even bigger than the 7 points. The Lions really dominated this game, from my perspective. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Detroit rushed for only 63 yards on the ground, and were still able to win this game despite 8 penalties for 71 yards. 441 total yards. They won the passing game, and that was because of receivers. It was interesting. Both teams had receivers that really stepped up today, but it was more so for the Lions. Calvin Johnson, 7 receptions, 115 yards and a TD. Nate Burleson, 6 receptions, 116 yards. Joyke Bell, as we mentioned, 4 receptions, 69 yards. Even when Reggie Bush didn't show up at all today because he was injured, this team still was able to prove that they can play football. And I think this is a blessing in disguise for Washington, because this might finally be the message to Coach Shanahan that it is time to put in Kirk Cousins. Because RG3 has proven that he's just not ready to come back yet. Just because Adrian Peterson can do it doesn't mean that RG3 can do it. I am determined to get through an RG3 subject without mentioning Subway. Oh, damn it, too late.
Come on, Jay.
God, of course.
I thought you could do this.
I was gonna say, just by saying it, that I wasn't gonna do it, I did do it. The Washington Redskins, Pierre Garçon, 8 receptions, 73 yards. Santana Moss, 7 receptions, 77 yards. Jordan Reed's doing well, 5 receptions, 50 yards. But Joseph Fourier caught another touchdown pass. He's a former Bruin as well. 1 reception, 5 yards. Was for TV.
Jake's a homer.
No, I'm only mentioning him because of what he does once he gets into the end zone. We will talk more about Joseph Fourier later in the show. I got an MVP alert for you guys. This guy is fun to watch when he gets into the end zone. You know what else is fun?
Just saying, this is Jake's MVP. Got 1 reception today for 5 yards.
It's not for what you do on the field. It's for what you do. The MVP award is someone who goes above and beyond. Because if you're only going to catch 1 ball for 5 yards, you have to make the most of it. And Fourier did that so much so that he was going to get the MVP later tonight. But you have to wait for it.
Obviously those 5 yards were much better than the 115 of Calvin Johnson.
No, you clearly do not listen to the show enough, because MVP isn't just about the best performer or best athletic performance. The MVP is something that we can all enjoy. You know, who did we have last week? It's not just like yesterday. You know what our MVPs were 2 hockey players who found a loophole in the NHL rules.
Oh yeah, that was really, really funny.
That was great. That was really smart. You know,
there was a goalie fight today. There was a goalie fight in preseason action today by goalies who pretty much have the starting jobs locked up. I found that really amusing.
Yeah, you know what was also really amusing? Me, who had the Ravens as the starting defense in one of my fantasy leagues. 22 points for the Baltimore Ravens on defense. Who called it? I did, but I'm not going to brag about it because I got 7 other games wrong. Ravens, Texans, Baltimore came through. Even without Ed Reed, it was not close. 30-9, I believe, was the final score. I'm going to confirm that on the Webernet.
I've already confirmed it, so take that. It was 30-9. Joe Flacco, 16 for 24. No touchdowns and only 171 yards, so not a big day for him. But this game was all about the defense, only allowing Matt Schwab to pass for 194 yards and an interception. They also held Arian Foster to only 54 yards. And this Ravens defense was really strong. Altogether, holding Houston to only 264 yards. Of course, Baltimore earned even less than that, 236. Baltimore's defense was strong. Their offense was not. And, so I think this was one of the worst offensive performances I've ever seen with 30 points.
You know, you did just commit one of my biggest NFL pet peeves these days. Okay. His name is Matt Schaub, not Matt Schwab. I don't know why that bothers me so much. Maybe it's because I think of that Charles Schwab insurance company or something.
Schaub.
Correct.
Schaub.
Not Schwab.
Schaub.
Correct. Matt Schaub.
Matt Schaub is going to need another job.
Okay, listen. One disappointing outing against the defending Super Bowl champions does not warrant a clever rhyme in this case.
I know, I was only doing that for the rhyme.
Well, you know what? It was worth it. I'll give you that, Carl.
It's my turn to talk. I didn't get to finish my point. I just want to say something. They only scored 1 offensive touchdown today, and it was a 1-yard run. I mean, it was off stuff. But they scored on an interception return, an 82-yard punt return by Camden Doss. Okay, that's Doss. Nice. But, yeah, this was a really impressive game from the Ravens for everybody but their offense. Just gotta say that.
You know, and they didn't even need it. You could see, right? You got the 1-yard TD run from Bernard Pierce. You had 3 field goals from Justin Tucker. You had a 37-yard pick six for Pick Smith.
Darrell Smith with the Pick Smith. Here we go.
Okay, once we set up a Facebook page, I want you guys to hit us up with #PickSmith, because now you're allowed to use hashtags on Facebook. I love it. All my friends hate it. But you know what?
You know what I'm gonna do?
Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate.
We need to join your page. You need to list all the inside jokes we have.
We've listed them so many times on this show.
But we need to list them on the page so new listeners can figure out why we talk so much about the Hispanic community of Oregon.
We don't. We actually only talk about it when we are talking about those inside jokes. But we have more inside jokes on this show than there were offensive touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, because there was only one. Therefore, we only need 2 inside jokes.
But we have double that. We have 4. And that was more than the number of field goals Houston kicked today, which was 3. 30-9, I'm so glad I picked Baltimore and they proved me right. I was impressed. I was very, very impressed because this team showed that they can fire on all cylinders today. The loss of Andre Johnson at some point in this game did hurt the Texans, yes, but again, they were never really looking like they were going to win this game. Baltimore, the few opportunities they had, they did take advantage of them. A touchdown on offense, defense, and special teams, plus 3 field goals. They did everything right today, and that's why they came out with a 30-9 win. But speaking of doing everything right, and I mean everything, the Carolina Panthers. I called the Panthers, but I did not call this. 38 to nothing.
You didn't call the 38 points.
I did not call 38 nothing. I did not call 38 nothing.
Worst loss of Tom Coughlin's career as the head coach of the New York Giants.
Why did this happen? 38 to nothing. How?
I've got a few words for you. Word number 1, Cam Newton. 15 for 27, 223 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Not the most impressive, but 7 carries for 45 yards with a touchdown.
For the record, that was a lot more than 1 word. But
no, I know. I've got another. I said multiple words. Another word. D'Angelo Williams coming through. Guess what? 120 yards on the ground and no touchdowns. That's how you get it going. So yeah, that's what happened in Carolina. Do you want to explain what happened to the Giants?
I can tell you, that's very easy. Nothing happened to the Giants. Absolutely nothing. That's why they scored 0 points today. What? I don't know where to start. How about the fact that they only had 50 total plays and 150 total yards? Fun fact, the New York Jets had more penalty yards today than the Giants had any total yards on offense.
That is amazingly wonderful.
Is it not? That really just sums up how football's going in New York right now. The Giants aren't doing that great, but the Jets are finding a way to make more mistakes. You know,
well, they're the Jets. They're allowed to make mistakes. We just expected of them.
90 yards through the air, 60 yards on the ground. That's 150 total yards. They gave up 27 first downs to Carolina. They only ran 50 total plays. They gave up 402 offensive yards. This score really does imply how lopsided this game was. Eli Manning, 12-23, 119 yards.
And he got sacked 7 times.
There you go. Once again, when the offensive line does not perform, it does not matter who you're playing or who your quarterback is, you will lose. If you give up 7 sacks, you will lose. Not necessarily 38-0, but that's what happened in this case. 3
of those sacks, Greg Hardy, the defensive ends, coming through really, really clutch in this game, I gotta say. 3 sacks, 8 tackles, 3 QB hits, of course, because they were all sacks. I mean, he had an impressive game. Before this, he had put in semi-solid performances. But I gotta say, in a matchup of 0-2 teams, this really proved the Giants are not going to have a good season.
No, I think there's still time to turn things around. There always is with the Giants. Although I gotta say, there was one impressive thing with the Giants. Steve Weatherford, the punter, you know, we talked about him before. The guy whose six-pack has a six-pack. Yeah, he downed 2 punts inside the 20, and he only had 6 punts. So, good for you, Steve Weatherford.
And good considering he was probably punting from his own end zone, too.
The way they play these days, that's the only time the Giants found the end zone. You know, speaking of finding the end zone, somehow the New York Jets were able to find the end zone today. It happened against the Buffalo Bills. Final score, 27-20 in favor of the Jets. But I noticed something today. The Jets never allude to any plane of any sort in their logo. I've never seen any Jets reference other than the fact that their name is the Jets. I don't even know why New York is called the Jets, but there's a lot of things we don't know.
They have a logo. They have a logo that's a plane. I've seen it.
Well, then maybe they should use it. Although then again, Buffalo doesn't exactly look like, they've got a bill. Why can't we call them the Buffalo Buffaloes? They had such a great opportunity there.
I know, right?
That opportunity was almost as great as winning against a Jets team who had 19 penalties. But why didn't they take advantage of that, Carl? Why did the Jets come out with W today, despite the clear lack of discipline?
Oh, well, that's a loaded question there. Honestly, I hate to say it. Even though he had 2 interceptions, Geno Smith did throw for 331 yards and 2 TDs. He had a solid game for Geno Smith. For Geno Smith, it's my turn to talk. I'm saying it's for him. But the bigger reason, the reason this offense had a good amount of success was, okay, I can't even pronounce his name. The running back for the Jets.
Bilal Powell.
Is it Bilal?
It's 5 letters, man. Is
it Bilal or Bilal? I didn't know.
Why would it be Bilal? Bilal Powell? No, Bilal. I'm telling you it's Bilal.
I'm just saying he had 149 yards. He had, but I'm just saying, the Jets had 513 yards on offense. You want to know the issue why the Jets won this? Is because the Bills' defense was really, really bad today.
Okay, I mean, I had spelled this out for you. I had given you the answer for this one. It's like I'd given you a test, and you forgot to write the date. That's how much I've been alluding to this, too. 8 sacks today for the Jets. If the offensive line can't come through, you will not win. And once again, that was the case here. Yes, though, guys stepped up for the Jets. We had Smith, 16 of 29, 331 yards, 2 TDs, 2 picks. On the ground, Bilal Powell, 27 carries, 149 yards, including a long of 27. And Santonio Holmes, 5 receptions, 154 yards, a touchdown. Stephen Hill, 3 receptions, 108 yards, and a touchdown. This was as ugly as a win gets, though. The penalty stat is just astonishing. 20 penalties for 168 yards. Gosh,
yeah.
20 penalties. 20. They had as many penalties as points they gave up.
Yup, they had a very, very fun. They gave up 8 first downs from penalties. That is just ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. They had as many first downs as penalties, and they still won. There was absolutely no discipline today. And yet they were still able to win because of the strong offensive performance from this team. And Buffalo struggled today. The Jets have a better record than the Packers. That makes me want to throw up. The Jets
worry,
have a
we can
better...
always throw up about the fact that the Cowboys are leading in the East.
Well, considering they only have to deal with the Vikings, the Redskins, and the Giants.
You just said the Vikings instead of the Eagles.
No, sorry, I was too busy thinking
You're substituting. You just assume that because... Oh, boy.
I don't know. I was just thinking of bad teams. It's a bad division, and the first bad team I could think of was the Vikings. Yeah, that's right. That's what happens when you try and call me out like that. This is my show. I'm kidding. You are allowed to correct me, but you will expect consequences. The Jets certainly made mistakes today, and did not feel the consequences. Now,
and I want to say one of those mistakes was an interception to a certain player who went to a certain school named Oregon. Kiki Alonso having a very strong game, 8 tackles and an interception after a game where he had 10 tackles, a sack, and an interception. Kiki Alonso, linebacker from Oregon, very, very strong.
Kiki Alonso, not to be confused with Kiki Palmer, star of the semi-hit movie Akilah and the Bee, an uprising movie about a girl from Compton who learns how to I'm sorry. I mean, that was a great movie, though. If you ever
That was
watched
a
it,
very
tell
good
me that was a good movie. I still remember the word that kid, or actually had the best friend that wanted to be the flight attendant, and then there was that kid that she went up against that threw the
Yes.
final word so that they could tie. It was
Yeah, that was
xanthosis.
gorgeous.
The word was xanthosis. That was the first thing I looked up after I watched that movie.
Starts
Xanthosis. That's what.
Start with the net.
You know, I don't have any segues for the word xanthosis. I'm sorry. No.
Wait, what's your next game? I've got a segue for it if you give me a game.
For xanthosis.
Give me a game.
I will be sincerely impressed.
What's the next game?
Colts Niners.
Xanthos. As hard to spell as it is to explain what's happening to the 49ers. Thank you. Wasn't that gorgeous?
That was as gorgeous as that kid throwing the word xanthosis so they could tie. Everybody's happy in our nation's capital except for Redskin fans. But, yeah, Colts, Niners. Tell us what happened.
This was all a plan by Jim Harbaugh to make me mad because I picked them for the Super Bowl.
Harbaugh? Jim Harbaugh?
Harbaugh! Shh. I can say it right. I've known him since he was at Stanford.
You've known him?
Really, this game was lopsided from after the first quarter. San Francisco could not get a ton going. 254 yards of offense. Colin Kaepernick, again, really disappointing. 11.8 QBR. 11.8. What is happening to freaking Colin Kaepernick? Colin Kaepernick, now on the season, 59.7% completion rate.
Well,
3 interceptions. It's just, he's having a terrible season. And just, yeah, I cannot explain how disappointed I am in the 49ers right now.
Colin Kaepernick has been exposed. Not just because he posed for the ESPN body issue, but because it's been proven that this kid it isn't much if he's not running. And the Colts did run today, but not for much. There are 3 touchdowns, a 1-yard run for Trent Richardson, a 6-yard run for Andrew Luck, and a 1-yard run for Ahmad Bradshaw. Neither quarterback threw for over 170 yards. Neither team had a rusher for over 100. And neither team had somebody who received for over 70 yards. So
it was not a good day for the individual.
It was not. This was a bad day for all fantasy owners, except for anybody who owned the Colts defense. Ahmad Bradshaw.
Or Adam Vinatieri.
Or Adam Vinatieri. Fine. 27-7, the Colts win this one. You know, I knew San Francisco would have some trouble this year, but I did not see the Colts walking in to Candlestick Park and beating them by 20. This was impossible. But
I call it the reverse Colt theory. That this year's Colts have somehow switched the magnification of your theory that they can never lose at home. So therefore, they will not lose on the road this year.
The magnification?
The magnification. Reverse the magnification. Just accept it, okay?
No, I'll accept your spelling of xanthosis. You've already proved your vocabulary. Don't start undoing that by mentioning the word magnification.
All right,
Although
I'm just going to say, they have Jacksonville is one of their road games. They also get the Cardinals on the road. And so, yeah,
it's too bad they don't get to face Jim Harbaugh again.
Yes, that would be very fun.
Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, not Harbaugh.
I know. Harbaugh. And guess what? Andrew Luck got to beat Jim Harbaugh. The one who mentored him, the one who nurtured him into the quarterback today. And then he does this to him. Come on, have some respect.
Did you just mention the word Jim Harbaugh and nurture in the same sentence?
Sorry, I know, that's John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh's the nice one. Jim Harbaugh's the one who yells.
And throws tantrums over every call. How dare you call that a touchdown?
You can still have him teach your kids if you have a Visa card.
Oh, I love that commercial.
High formation!
Oh my god, that's fantastic. You know what else was fantastic, though? Not as fantastic as the Visa commercial, but it was still a great game. Dolphins-Falcons. At least I picked Miami right this one. 27-23. The Falcons are 1-2. The Dolphins are 3-0. What in the name of Xanthos is going on here, Carl?
Well, one, that Xanthos is now one of our inside jokes.
Yeah.
Two, the Dolphins are legit this year. I'm gonna say it. They're legit. They lost Reggie Bush, and somehow they became a better team. Who knew? Now, Ryan Tannehill is really maturing into a better quarterback. Now, 24 of 35, 236 yards, and 2 touchdowns and an interception in this game. Other than that, key performers for the Dolphins, one of them was out. Lamar Miller had a pretty strong game, 62 yards on the ground, but overall, truly, I believe that some of this has to go on to Matt Ryan's shoulders. Because you only threw for 231 yards. He had an interception. Although he did have 2 touchdowns, Matt Ryan should do a lot more against the defense of the Miami Dolphins. Their secondary is just not that strong. They should be putting up more. But I do want to note one player that had a pretty big game, 86 yards for the Atlanta Falcons. Another person who went to college in Oregon. A running back I personally have a great history with on this show.
A dear friend of yours.
Jaquiz Rogers
Jaquiz
had 86 yards today on the ground to lead all running backs. He led all running backs in this game today with 86 yards. Jaquiz Rogers, what a game.
You know, I think they should have a rule where, only the All-Americans get to go into a college football bowl, and Jaquiz Rogers shows up and they can call it the Jaquiz Bowl.
It's just Jaquizitive.
Jaquizitive. No, but again, okay. Carl, I've just got a question for you. All you need is one word. What's the stat I've been talking about most on this show?
Quarterback pressure.
Sacks.
And sacks, really.
Sacks.
But you
5.
put in pressure.
This is why I ended up picking Miami for this game, because I knew Atlanta had a weak offensive line, and I knew that Cameron Wake leading this defensive line would be too much, and it was. We saw 5 sacks today from Miami's defense, 10 tackles from Donnell Ellerbe, impressive to say the least. Missed field goal from Matt Bryant. There were opportunities for the Falcons that they could not take care of, whereas the Dolphins did. What a great catch from Deion Sims. I'm sorry, not Deion. Yes, Deion Sims, the 1-yard touchdown pass with 38 seconds left. Miami held on. I was thoroughly impressed. They are 3-0. The Falcons are 1-2. We might be looking at a case of Atlanta can only win at home.
All right, it's time for it's the fantasy update that we created a couple shows about because we were talking about players, and I want to say it's time I need to talk about a player. He's probably still available in your league. It's Caleb Sturgis. He's
Sturgis?
Sturgis.
No, I know who Caleb Sturgis is. Really?
You are familiar with him.
I
drafted him in the last round of my fantasy drafts because I knew he would still be available.
He's a dear friend of mine, Caleb Sturgis. But yes.
Caleb E. Sturgis. Caleb Sturgis, he's 4 for 4 so far in his career on field goals. He had a 50-yard plus field goal today's game. Very, very impressive. He had a 50-yard field goal in today's game. He racks up the fantasy points like a rookie kicker should. Personally, I always look if there's any rookie kickers that are going to start because often they're on teams that had bad kickers, so you wouldn't expect them to come in. I personally believe in the draft a rookie kicker theory in fantasy.
All right.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the box score and you'd think, how did Atlanta not win this game? More first downs, more total plays, more total yards, passing yards, rushing yards.
But then you look at the sacks.
Sacks?
I think it's a completely different story.
And penalties.
Yeah.
Only 2 penalties for Miami in this game. The Dolphins go on to win 27-23. They are undefeated, as are the Seattle Seahawks, although that's not much of a surprise considering who they were playing today. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, we have to apologize to the city of Jacksonville. Viewer discretion is advised for this next section if you live in the greater Jacksonville area.
No, I was having sympathy for Jacksonville. Jacksonville, you can listen now if you're up at 1:23 in the morning listening to this show. We would really appreciate you. You know, comment if you got any questions or stuff to say. I knew I was going to forget something at the beginning of the show. Not that many have been calling it anyway, but that's okay. I always will have hope, as will the city of Jacksonville. If you've got anything to say, if you are an angry person from Jacksonville that has some words to say to me, face me. 310
Or Carl.
922.
If you have angry words for Carl, please comment them.
Oh, I have angry words for Carl, but we will talk about those later.
Wait, I do have to say something this is going to make you very happy. Chad Henne started today, not Blaine Gabbert. Good job. Even though he had a 6.1 QBR and was 18 for 38 with 2 picks, he still started.
That's because Blaine Gabbert has, lacerations in his hand from surgery or something. Or lacerations, whatever. 310-922.
Laceration. You can accept that.
310.
Hey!
310.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson actually had a good game today.
Can I say my phone number, man?
No!
Yes. 310-922-9536 is the number to call. Or hit us up in the comment section if you're not listening live. Or if you are listening live and don't want to talk to me, that's fine. I won't bite, I promise. But if you don't trust me, which I don't blame you, just kidding, I do, you can still comment. Seahawks 3-0, Jaguars 0-3, 45-17. Seattle just laid it on him today. What'd you think of this one?
I thought that this game was so bad that they got to the point where, college teams late in games will take out their quarterback and put in a different one just because it's kind of over and there's no need. It normally doesn't happen in these NFL games. Russell Wilson literally was taken out of the game because Tavares Jackson was coming in, their backup quarterback, and former Minnesota Viking Tavares Jackson.
Tavares Jackson, the good old
coming
days.
in actually was pretty impressive when he wasn't, but we're not going to talk about that. I kind of want to. 7 for 8, 129 yards and a touchdown. But other than that, Russell Wilson was impressive this time he was in there. 14 for 21, 202 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have a pick, but that's okay. Marshawn Lynch was a little unimpressive, only 69 yards against a less than stellar Jacksonville defense. But overall, Jacksonville proved that we really didn't need to learn anything about them. They're not that good. The Seahawks are good. 0-3, 3-0. Going on, do we really have to talk more about this game?
I just want to say one thing that was interesting to me. The efficiency that Seattle proved today. The Jaguars had 66 plays, Seattle had 67. And yet Seattle had 479 total yards. Jacksonville had 265. That's an over 200-yard difference. Much more efficient when they had the ball. Good day for Russell Wilson, especially if he was your fantasy quarterback. 14 and 21, 202 yards, 4 TDs, and a pick. I was impressed, but it's easy to impress when we're playing against the Jaguars. And now it's on to Sunday Night Football, where we go from the rainy city in Seattle to the windy city in Chicago. But that was not those to this game. No, that was the Steel City. The Steelers in Heinz Field hosted the Bears. Right. I was getting the cities right. Whoa, I stopped watching when it was 27-23. It was 40-23. How about that?
Wait. Come on.
Hey, you said
it's a game.
You said that you weren't even watching the entire Minnesota game, and you're a Vikings fan.
No, because it's not on. It's not on in my area. I only watched it when it was on.
3 words: NFL Sunday Ticket. Come on, man.
3 words.
Hashtag FOYP.
3 words. Hashtag ripoff. Yes, that's 3 words.
Okay. Not all. Oh,
no, but
maybe it's because you're only going to use it to watch. Maybe it's because you're only going to use it to watch the Vikings, and that's not very good value. You'd probably rather not watch it, considering the way they've been playing.
Yeah, I know. I'd rather watch 2-1 team with a who has actually had a 100-yard rush. Wait, this is the weirdest thing. You want to know something odd?
What?
This season, so far, the Packers have had more 100-yard rushing games by a running back than the Vikings.
Oh my God.
And Jake Liker celebrates inside as he does a happy dance.
No, I'm not. I'm just...
Jay Cutler was averagely impressive, I guess. 20 for 30, 159 yards.
The usual.
And a touchdown. But Ben Roethlisberger, other than 2 picks, was impressive. 406 yards and 2 touchdowns. But again, come on, 2 interceptions. if he made better decisions, this would have been a closer game. Of course, the last touchdown was Julius Peppers with a 42-yard fumble return. And then the PAT was blocked. That happened.
5 turnovers for the Steelers, no turnovers for the Bears. No shock the way this game turned out, even when he did throw for over
But one
400
shocker,
yards.
the Bears are 3-0. Who saw that coming?
Not me, and I hate that, which means the Bears have a better record than the Packers, and that pisses me off. But it is fun to see Ben Roethlisberger lose. 40-23, Chicago wins. Cutler, average. Forte, average. How about Brown, though, for the Steelers? 9 receptions, 196 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And yet they was not enough to win.
Look at the offensive stats, the
40-23.
total yards. The Bears only had 258 total yards, while the Steelers had 459.
Wow.
And yet,
And the
it
Bears
was still
were
23. It's just ridiculous. But, I mean, this was a close game. I mean, it was 27-23 Chicago lead. And then Chicago had 2 late touchdowns, one Earl Bennett from Jay Cutler with 5:48 left. And, of course, I mentioned the Julius Peppers fumble return. That was the next series. So, I mean, it was a little bit... The score does dictate that it was a blowout where, I don't know, if you take out the last 10 minutes, a couple of things go differently, that we could be talking about a very different game.
Yeah. The over-under for this game was 41, and Chicago scored 40 points on their own.
Wait, I do have to make one point, though.
Go ahead.
Next, the Steelers are going to play the Vikings in London. So we get to watch 0-3 teams battle in England. Who's excited?
Everybody in London, because of course they're going to care more about football than soccer. I mean, come on.
Just kidding. Actually, no, it will be a sellout. Also, did you know that England are Vikings fans?
Really?
Yes,
You know,
there is actually a surprising amount of following.
a friend told me yesterday that China are huge Raiders fans.
I could see that, because they get, any team that has, losing gear or anything like that, they probably send it out there, because anything like that, all the extra gear that is donated to the poor.
Oh, boo. Come on. If here at Rookies Roundup, we support labor law changes in China and changes to the Oakland Raiders, which they are going to need if they stand a chance tomorrow night against the Denver Broncos. And another great segue for me. We got labor laws and the Raiders in one sentence, only here on Rookies Roundup at our 10th episode. What do you think? Monday Night Football, how do you see this one going? What do the Raiders need to do to have a chance?
You know what? I'm going to pull a page from your playbook, and I'm going to say they need to get pressure on the quarterback.
Thank you.
Protect Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor is a very hard quarterback to protect, given that he runs around a lot. But I think that if they protect Terrell Pryor, and they get pressure on Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning does not pump fake them out of their shoes, I think that Oakland still doesn't have a chance. But again, that's just the only way they have any chance. Is it all comes down to pressure on the quarterback and turnover as well. Terrell Pryor can have big games if he's not giving up the ball every other play. So here's what has to happen. Denver has to have at least 4 turnovers and been sacked at least 5 times. Oakland cannot have any turnovers and can only be sacked once at max. That's the only chance they have of winning.
And Denver probably has to commit 7 more penalties. Basically, it's a long shot. I do expect No Shot Marina to do well. We'll see how the absence of Ryan Clady plays into this. All in all, very interesting week in the NFL, and I don't think we're going to be able to have an interesting finish tomorrow night. But who knows in the NFL? I mean, this is a week where we saw the Ravens go without Ed Reed and win over the Texans. The Ravens.
This is a week when we saw the Giants lose 38-0 to the Carolina Panthers. This is a week where we saw the Jets have more penalty yards than the Giants had offensive yards and still beat the Buffalo Bills, who really should be the Buffalo Buffaloes.
Right. Thank you. And this is a week where we saw a team get only 235 total yards of offense and end up with 40 points. Crazy week. Carl, do you want to go on your rant about how people better not spell your Twitter name with K?
Yeah, with a K. They better spell it with a K,
With a
not
C.
with a C.
With a
You
C.
know, they shouldn't
Sorry,
Okay.
with the C.
Spell the name. We're gonna do this very calmly.
Hashtag remember the name.
Hashtag it's with a K. If you tweet me at Carl _ PM hashtag it's with a K, I will 1 follow you back, and 2 I will answer any question you want on college football on air, which is another thing you should listen to on here, and it's one of the weekdays. I'm just gonna tell you that I don't have any other preference on that show. It's on one of the weekdays. Really need to get a Facebook page up for that too.
You know what he prefers on that show? He prefers
at Carl _ PM. It's with a K. Don't spell it with a C. My last word is Antoine Winfield. Please, baby, come back. And that is it. Thank you for having me, Jake. And I will see you on College Football on Air and probably this show again too.
You will definitely
talk way too much about football, don't we?
No, there is no such thing as talking too much about football. Thank you, Carl. By the way, I want to point out one last thing before you go. Alabama is still number 1.
But Oregon gained votes because Alabama was
doesn't matter
10 on 3rd down.
Alabama's
for 8 at the beginning. They had issues with Colorado State for a while. I'm just gonna say, let's go Ducks. Goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Carl. Thank you. All right, Carl Mogla, and again, he's a great sport. Always coming here on this show. It's really been an honor to be on the air for our 10th episode, which means we get to have our 10th MVP, 10th Facepalm Award, and 10th Sympathy vote. So, we've been teasing you all night about the MVP vote for Joseph Fourier. This guy can dance. If any of you were alive for... if you were a true 90s kid, oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. Only 90s kids will understand. That song from NSYNC, Bye Bye Bye, ain't no life, bye 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 bye. Fourier apparently really knows how to dance to that song, and that 1 5-yard reception he got into the end zone, and man, he's got the moves. I mean, week 1, he did that weird little double, I don't know, disco move or something, I don't know. It was great, though. It was definitely worth your time to look up. Joseph Fourier touchdown dance. It is fantastic, considering it's a rare occurrence, considering how many times he actually even makes it there. Facepalm. For the second time in 3 weeks, the NFL audience, has been full moon, and this time it was by a man by the name of Travis Benjamin. That's right, Travis Benjamin is his name. As if things couldn't go even more wrong for the Browns. It's a good thing they were playing against the Vikings. Otherwise, we would just be layering it on. It's a good thing Carl's not in the air anymore. Otherwise, we'd probably go on to another screaming fight. Yeah, wide receiver and return man Travis Benjamin, 28-yard punt return. And on the way, he, let's just say, had a wardrobe malfunction. So, keep your pants on, Travis Benjamin. You know, always make sure you've got everything you need. We're seeing guys forgetting to take the ball into the end zone, and now we're seeing guys forget to take their pants up with them. I don't know. Let's move on. Let's just move on. Although I'd rather not. It's our sympathy for Raiders fans. Oh my god. I can't believe I'm giving sympathy to the Raiders fans because I can't stand them. But after seeing this, God, they really deserve it. So the Raiders have unveiled a strange new mascot. You know, remember when that kind of like a Club Penguin, but an NFL version was called NFL Russia, and that was a big thing online. If you ever into that, and every team had their own weird little logo. Now, like Nickelodeon's turning that into a TV show, and for it, the Raiders have unveiled a new mascot called the Raider Rusher. It looks, first of all, it looks like Jay Leno in the fact that its chin literally goes down to his waist, and you cannot see his shirt. I don't know. Look up Raider Rusher. Tell us what you think here. According to Darren Rovell, that is going to be a character on the Nickelodeon series NFL Rusher. Like, 1,000%, Raider Rusher is going to be the villain. We should start a series on that, you know. If teams were people, what kind of character would they be? The Patriots would probably just frown upon everybody and prance around like they're the best in the world with their model wife. God, everybody is secretly jealous of Tom Brady. Everybody really is. That's it. Tonight's show again, we were able to take down the time marks of every single segment, so if for some weird reason you don't want to listen to this awesome 65-plus minute show, 10th episode of Rookies Roundup, you can skip to just what you want to hear, but I would strongly advise against that because we had some great stuff on this show. Really, our 10th episode has been one of our best, thanks to Carl, and thanks to me, at least I would hope. Anything else? Oh yeah, I was at the UCLA game. Great atmosphere. Great atmosphere last night for Nick Pasquale. They were handing out towels. For a game against New Mexico State, that was quite a showing that they put on. Really great job from that team. Hopefully they'll climb up the polls. Packers get a bye week because they really need it. So next week, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. So I'm on the debate team. It's actually fun. You know, arguing and being right and learning how to be right is actually pretty fun. Most people wouldn't think that, but it is. But I do have a debate tournament next week. It's going to be down at Long Beach, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a show. Hopefully, because I'm going to be out Friday night and Saturday night, and I have a bunch of stuff to do on Sunday. Hopefully I'll be able to get in a rapid reaction, but that's unlikely, so maybe I'll be able to do a prediction show Thursday night, hopefully, I don't know. But if I don't, that's okay, because I'll be able to make up for it. 2 weeks from now, it's Rookies Roundup live from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm making my homage, my pilgrimage up there where the Packers will come off a bye week and play against the Detroit Lions. Hopefully they will win that game. So that's it. Mark it on your calendars. Thank you for listening. Any questions or just stuff to say, comment below. You guys rock. 10 episodes. We've made it this far. Hopefully we'll make it even further. Don't forget to share this and talk about it with your friends. Tell your friends, your family, your frenemies, your enemies, your bullies, your demigods, I don't know. We were studying Greece, and darn it, I'm rambling. I promise you, I'm going to get better than that. It's been 10 episodes, I will. So, yeah, I'm going to sign out now. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to check out National Sports. Our Facebook page is National Sports. Our Twitter is at all caps National Sports 1. Don't spell Carl's Twitter name with a C, because otherwise he will somehow know. And to our hipsters out there, sip on your Jamba Juice and Boba Tea. Check us out at National_Sports. And on the note of Boba Tea, in a true upper-class Los Angeles way, we are going to wrap up our 10th episode of Rookies Roundup. Thank you guys so much for listening. And yeah, have a good night. Hopefully we will see you next week. If not, we will see you in Titletown, USA, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 2 weeks from now. Thanks for listening.
Live from Los Angeles, we thank you for listening to another presentation of the National Sports Radio Station on Spreaker.com.